I love interviewing amazing women entrepreneurs and just entrepreneurs like you because you're doing all those things for a long time.
For a long time.
I know.
My whole adult life, if you think about it. Yeah. So, but like all those things you read, it's just from doing this a long time. It's playing the long game. It's all the things that we talk about. I just didn't have a lot of other options. So I just, it wasn't what I knew. I just read books. There weren't podcasts back then in the late 90s, So I was reading Robert's book and Sharon's book and David Bach's book and all these great books and then just applying it, right? Because the ideas we hear, the books we read aren't going to change our lives. It's the implementation and execution we take. It's the action. And so I was just naive enough to just take the action.
What were the first books that really made a big impact for you?
Think and Grow Rich.
Classic,
yeah. Right? And it's surprising to me that this generation, a lot of people haven't read that book. So anyone listening, if you haven't read that book, go get that book. That was an incredible book. I read that every year for 10 years
in a row. Do young kids know how to read?
I know.
I don't even know anymore. They listen.
It's not in cursive. So
do people still write in cursive? Do they still force you to write in cursive in school?
I don't think it's school anymore.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
The things they force you to do in school that are totally useless as an adult.
I know.
All right. So Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Game changer.
Smart Women Finish Rich. Like that was the only book back then that actually even spoke to women at all. David Bach wrote that about his grandmother, incredible book. And The Millionaire Next Door, which was all about real estate investing. So it kind of was it was timing, like a little bit, I always say it's hard work. There's a little bit of maybe divine timing or luck, but I just happened to read The Millionaire Next Door right when I was going to buy my first car. And I was like, okay, well, all these books say that the rich don't buy new cars, they buy used cars. And I had seen a foreclosure that was a couple doors down from that first business I owned. So again, I just was naive enough to listen to what the guy on the book said. And I bought that foreclosure instead of that new car. And so I think it was that first initial, when I was in my early 20s, that I thought, wow, like rather than my money just going out and spending it and burning it, like I can make more money with my money so that I can retire by the time I'm 40, which was always my goal. And so it was just through self-education, doing the work, getting a result. If it was a good result, do it again. If it wasn't, don't do that again, right? And just continue to move forward.
Dude, I love that. I was the exact same way, except for I bought weed and went and ate fast food. That was my strategy.
That was your shit. Yeah, How did that work out?
It took me a little longer than most to
but
get
you're here. That's what matters. That's what matters. You still made it.
The end result is the end result.
That's right.
All right. So walk me through. First, let's just start where you're at right now. What does your world look like right now? You got this real estate portfolio. You got business. You got your own podcast.
Yes, that's new.
Okay. What's it called?
Generation Wealth. You were just on it.
I was on it, but I'm giving you a chance to plug it.
Thank you. So this is super new. My world now, I just came off of writing a book and a whole media tour. So we did the podcast for that reason. You were there, incredible guest. Everyone should tune into that podcast episode and listen to it. You went really raw and vulnerable on us. And I think it's going to change a lot of lives.
Sometimes I just open up.
And you
like
did.
That. Yeah. I think it's important nowadays to people want authenticity.
Yeah.
Yeah. They see people like you that are just killing it in life in that Instagram snapshot.
Oh, yes.
But then when you start peeling back the layers, my favorite thing about entrepreneurs, a lot of us, we're tormented by a lot of things. That's what drives us to be entrepreneurs and drives us to become great. And it's understanding that dynamic and that growth of hey, we're all kind of duct taped together and screwed up kind of behind the scenes. Yep. It's not all grass is always greener on the other side. We worked really hard to get to where we are.
Yeah.
And I think when people realize they're just like me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just 20 years ahead.
That's right.
10, 20 years ahead. Mm-hmm. And when they realize that, they're like, oh, I could do it too.
Oh my gosh, it's available for everyone, right? That's the coolest part about entrepreneurship and success is it's really here for all of us. It's just our choices, our decisions, our actions over time, even when you fail, even when you trip up, even when that thing is like, oh my gosh, this wasn't the result that I wanted, or, whatever it may be, you slip back a little bit. It's all about what you do next. And I think that that's the most empowerment thing that we can have as humans is we get to choose what we want to do with our life, even when we're in that moment where we think we can't, or the circumstance happens to us, we always get to decide what's next. And I think entrepreneurship is literally just a mode of that we get to do that all the time, every day.
I love that. You got to have a bounce back spirit.
Yeah, of course.
you're going to get beat up a lot.
A
when
lot.
you choose entrepreneurship.
Well, life too,
I wish
right?
they would have
Yeah.
gave me like if there was a warning label on entrepreneurship, like you are going to get beat up, bullied, pushed around, passed over, sidelined, stolen from,
Oh, yeah.
lied to,
Embezzled.
broken up with,
Yeah.
like sued,
Yeah.
like
People are
all-
going to question your intention. They're going to, I mean,
all of it.
all of it. Every single thing
And
happens.